Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Chirping on Causeway, brought to you by Boston Sports Entertainment Network. My name is Liv. You can find the podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Causeway Chirps. You can find my Twitter at Front Frederick. And I have a very special guest today. I'm so excited to have her on. She always knows what she's talking about. She has the best post. She has the coolest little pyramid thing that I believe she does weekly, but she'll correct me if I'm wrong. But I have Jess today.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
Introduce herself and tell her about.
So I'm Jess, and I'm from Overtime Chicks, the podcast. And thanks so much for having me on. I'm super excited.
I was happy. I hopped on yours like a month ago, I want to say, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of before the was it before Four Nations?
Yeah, because we were kind of like previewing it. So
yeah. But I was like, I have to have her on because she's just like, not to be corny, but I do think it's nice when it's like girl podcasts, like when you can hop on together, because obviously majority of the podcasts are men, absolutely fine, but I think it's just like cool when it's a girl gang a little bit.
Yeah, it's always fun.
Yeah. So where do we want to start? Do we want to start with, I mean, they lost on St. Patrick's Day, but I was very like pleasantly surprised with the game, to be honest.
Yeah. I feel like these past few losses just have been so brutal that it makes that one look so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do think there's something to say about, not something to say, that makes it sound, like there's a mission to go find some hidden secret. But it's funny how this team, for whatever reason, there's always one goalie they're going to play better in front of. Like, for some reason, it just seems like when they have Korpisalo in net, I'm like, why aren't you guys, like, doing the same silly little mistake? Yeah. Or, like, do you see that too? Or is it just like me? Or
For sure. And I feel like we can like touch on this as well, but Swayman's getting so much hate right now from Bruins fans. And I don't know if it's like because just the season we've been having, like, but they're like on him right now. And it's like, I want to know what like your thoughts on that, because I feel like some of these goals he's been letting in, I'm like, oh my gosh. Like,
yeah. It's so, I don't know. It's kind of, I feel like we've seen this with other teams. And I think I always go back to this and I just think about how kind of spoiled, I guess would be the word that I would use for us. We've been so spoiled lately with like not even really having to worry about like certain issues or like our goaltending or whatever. But yeah, this year specifically, Sway has been getting a lot of hate. And I think this is what gets me like a little bit confused and frustrated, I guess. There's people that are all for like Sway, like pro Sway, defending him no matter what. And then there's the other camp that's like, he can't do anything good enough. Yeah. They just hate him. I mean, he could breathe the wrong way. And they'd be like, did you see that? Like, you know what I mean?
No, I agree. There's like no in between.
Yeah. So I try to be kind of in between at times, like, because I do think we're in such a tough season to really, you can't put this season on a singular goalie. Like, you just can't, he can be having, I mean, his numbers are obviously not amazing, but it's like, no duh, kind of.
Yeah, it's like the team in front of him is not amazing either. So it's like, you can't like put it on him.
Exactly. And, that's also something I would say about the coaching too. I'm like, why are you not making it more 50-50?
Thank you. Because I have been talking about this with like friends and stuff, because it's so frustrating. I'm like, some of it's like a coaching thing. It's like Joe Sacco should like be seeing like, hey, like maybe don't start Sway so many games in a row. Like, I mean, he works so well in a tandem. We saw that last year. And he may not be ready to like go like start all of those games like right now. Like, yeah. I don't know, but.
And I feel like we haven't like, I don't know. I want to see more of Corpy, because when we do, it's really, really good. Even though I know outcomes are questionable and they vary and all that stuff, but and I feel like we've heard Sway say many times he likes the competition. Like there's no hard feelings, there's no bad blood in between goalies having some competition. So I think it would benefit everyone really.
Yeah.
Especially, even if they wanted to try and hold on there for a little bit until when was it? Like last month where Dawn kind of threw in the white towel like a little bit.
Yeah.
I would have thought that's when they would try and go at least 50-50 fully after that.
Same. Yeah, I thought the same thing. But it's also like you said, Sway likes kind of that competition and like it gets like him fired up. So like why not? Like what are your thoughts on Joe Sacco though? Because
he's in I feel for the guy and I'm also like just shake things up. I feel for him in the sense that he was tossed into something so tricky and just so maybe irreversible, if you want to say, like we were just bound to have a season like this anyways. The cards are just not in our favor type of deal. But then again, I'm like, even with the lines he has right now, get more creative. Why not? There was that time where we didn't want to separate Pasta and Geeky, which I understood.
Yeah.
But then now I just keep going back to the point of like, what else is there to lose?
Yeah. You have nothing to lose right now. Like just.
So obviously nothing against the guy. He's in a crap situation. Mm-hmm. I will say I think there's some people that are meant to be just an assistant captain. And I would say he falls under that type of category, which again, nothing wrong with that. And maybe he never wanted to be where he is right now. And he was like, oh, shoot, I'm the next man up. Like, oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Seriously. But so I don't know. I feel for the guy because now I'm like, with the off season, are we going to just bump him back down to assistant or are we going to be like, see ya? Like,
Yeah.
I guess that's what I'd ask you. What do you think we're going to do? Do you think they're going to, because it seems as if like Dawn and Cam are not going to go anywhere. So do you think they're going to full sweep maybe the coaching staff a little bit or?
Yeah, I would like to see that. I mean, obviously my first choice would be Sweeney and Neely gone, but I don't see that happening either. So I would like to get rid of Sacco. I mean, like you said, I kind of just feel like he's better off as an assistant coach. I just don't think he's meant for a head coach. And again, like he was put in such a bad situation too. So I mean, we can't just like judge it off of just this season. But I would love to see the Denver head coach the Bruins. I want to see that so badly.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I was going to bring up too, is because I feel like I feel like I've brought this up 4 times, but a few years ago, there were a handful of coaches where you could have gotten and whatnot. But this year it's been a little bit different.
Yeah.
Choice wise. So I will be curious to see, because it seems like there needs to be a change of voice.
I've been seeing some people want Mike Sullivan to come back, and I'm like, no, I'm all set with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like if Sweeney and Neely don't go, then gotta change something, like the coach.
Yeah. And even, I know no one wants to say because it's Chris Kelly, and Chris Kelly's like one of our generational guys. Like he is a Bruin, but he's not really bringing us.
Nope.
It's okay. So because I'm pretty sure he's still in charge of the power play, which I'll admit it's gotten better. It has gotten a little bit better. But what the heck happened all these other months?
Yeah. I'm like, okay, like I'm glad it's getting better, but like we still remember how it used to be, and that was rough. So yeah. I don't know.
I think there's just I don't know like what wording I want to use. They just fall back on things that have, I think, been around for too long. I know there's like the certain culture of Bruins hockey that you don't want to step away from, but how about switching up like plays, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I'm blanking on literally every. People are like, yeah, plays, haha, no duh. But, like, you know what I mean? Like everything, like systems. Like we just need different
Yeah,
minds, I guess. Like new ideas, I guess.
exactly. And also, it's like I would love to see Bergeron behind the bench, but I mean, I feel like that's asking for a lot. But I feel like that would like get the players like motivated. I feel like if like he's behind that bench, like that's somebody who they respect so much. So I feel like it would like kind of just give them some like I don't know, like just some fire under their like
Yeah,
butts.
I agree with that. And I know like he said like, you know, he's not ready to like do that yet. And I'm like, but what can we do to convince you?
Like,
Can
you
we
see the state that we're in right now? Like, we need help.
bribe you with something like
Yeah.
pastries or I don't know, something like that. But I'm gonna bring up this comment because I am all for this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's rip up the seats. I always go back to the seats.
Yes.
I'm like, let's change the seats again. I don't even know. It's just too
I
much.
honestly think that could do it. Like, just bring the black and yellow seats back. I feel like that can honestly just anything at this point.
I'm just like, yeah, we just need something. And I feel like there's probably certain fandoms, not fandoms, but like fans of different teams that are like, you guys are being so dramatic. Our team has been miserable for the past like decade and a half. Like,
Yeah. I've gotten that comment so many times, and I'm like, you guys like don't get it. It's like for Bruins fans, this is like horrible because we're
the end. Like,
but it's like we're just so used to just being like good or even decent. Like this season is just like drastic. Like we're in the trenches.
yeah, we really are. It's really bad. I was talking to my friends the other day though, and I was like, you know, if I'm Coyle and like Trent and Carlo and Marshy and even like Braz, I'm like, I'm okay with me being actually because we're winning games over here.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know about Minnesota, but I think for the rest of them, they're all in the playoffs more or less, like not confirmed yet, but they're probably just excited to still be in playoff hockey. I would be. I mean, obviously they were such big Bruins, like that it's sad, obviously. But if I'm them, I'm kind of like,
yeah,
I needed to hop off that ship.
Exactly. Like, thank God, because it's like Coyle. Like now he's playing with like McKinnon, Makar, like all this talent. So he's just, I bet he's having a blast.
Yeah, and you know, I will be curious to see how Marshy fits in with Florida. Like, were you? How do I want to word this? Were you surprised? Like, what was your reaction when it came through at 3:00 that like Marshy to Florida?
I feel like I kind of saw it coming, but I just like I was kind of like just hoping, okay, you're definitely wrong about this. Like, it's not gonna happen. And then like when it came through, I was just no, I was just not happy with it. I'm like fired on Sweeney right now, like get rid of him. But I kind of see, I mean, why, and it's like hearing like both sides of like both sides of the situation and how it's like Marshawn basically only would go to Florida, so we didn't really have much like to work with. So I don't know, but like, what do you think?
I was not, like you were saying, I kind of did expect something to happen because the noise was just like too loud. I was like, okay, he's definitely getting moved. Like, this just doesn't feel like, I know there's crazy rumors all the time, but I was just thinking this feels different. I really think he moved. I was not expecting Florida, like in the slightest. And I'm going to bring up this point because I guess I like to be a little brazen on here. But what I'm not seeing enough of is like, I know it's a business. I know he probably just wants another cup and whatever. But something that has not sat right with me since it happened is how he was so like not, I don't know what word I want to use, but he wanted to go to Florida so badly. I don't see how you can be like the captain of the Boston Bruins and then go to that team fresh off this new like rivalry that we have with them, what they've, you know, they're a disrespectful team, Florida. They're just dirty. They're cheap, you know. I was a little disappointed that he wanted to go there so badly, because if you're, you know, you've been in Boston for X amount of years, like Boston is your home, like it's where your family is, like you raised your kids here, you know, all this stuff. And I just haven't seen enough of like that. I'm like, are people afraid to say that is crazy? Like that is, you know, a little, I don't want to say disrespectful, because then people are going to be like, you're so dramatic, but like,
yeah, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But
and I don't know. I mean, I know Don Sweeney is not an easy person to work with.
No,
he always has a gap with someone for something. Like,
yeah, always.
Always that gap. I don't know what's wrong with that, but you know, and I don't think we'll ever actually hear the true form of either side. But based off what we've heard, I can understand why Don wasn't going to budge anymore and wasn't going to, you know, because it's like, you're 37. You just had like 2 surgeries over last off season. You know, you're not the spryest, you know, chicken in the whatever that saying is, but I don't know. But it was definitely I will say I thought it was going to have a different effect on the team, like when Marshy went. And I just, like, we saw basically what we saw when Jim got fired, like 2, maybe 3 games of like okay hockey.
Exactly. But also, I forgot what I was going to say, but like with the Marchand stuff, wait, what was I going to say? Why am I blanking? Oh my gosh. No, but I was shocked, but also I feel like since he is getting up there in age and he's had a ton of injuries and needed surgery, I kind of am okay with it now. Like now that it's kind of settled down, I think I'm fine with it. But the thing is, I was kind of thinking he would come back to the Boston Bruins eventually to, you know, finish out his career. But now I think it would kind of just be like, I don't know, like now it just, if he did come back, I would be so happy, but it just wouldn't be like the same. I could be being dramatic, but it's like, to me, it just wouldn't feel the same.
No, I agree with that too, because I know people right off the bat were saying like, oh, even if he's gone, like he's coming back, whatever. And then like that discourse kind of happened like the next like couple days after, and I was like, ooh, like not looking too hot anymore. And I feel like if he did want to come back as a Bruin to like retire, I feel like he would do that thing where they sign for a day, like retire as, you know, whatever. And obviously there would be some nostalgia there for everyone, but like you're saying, I don't know now though. Like I don't know after all the, you know.
Yeah, because now I feel like we just have to focus on like just like rebuilding and getting better and like just kind of just moving in a like forward. But who knows?
Because even just, you know, you take Marshy away, but then you take Carlo and Coyle away, who were very consistent A wearers. Like they were your go-to for an A if, you know, Pasta or McAvoy or, you know, when Marshy was out. So that's like a whole chunk. And I'm always one that's been a fan of Carlo, just not even his play on the ice, but his voice and just his locker room presence. That one to me, I was like, how are you gonna replace all these people? Like, how are you gonna, I don't know. And I do agree with it. Like I do, you know, we had to eventually do this, but I'm like, all at the same time, we didn't really.
It was a lot at once, to be honest with you, because it's like when the Marchand, like when like I saw it on Twitter, like Elliot Friedman was like, it's like most likely happening. And the Carlo trade like came out, I think, before that. And I was just like, I totally completely ignored it because I was just so focused on the Marchand one. And then like once it kind of like died down and I'm like, wait, Carlo's gone too? I'm like, geez, this is like a demolition.
Literally.
What do we have left?
Right. And it's tricky because, you know, they when was it? Maybe even just yesterday, they finally interviewed McAvoy, and because he wasn't even with the guys on that road trip at that point because he was still here. And it's crazy to think that he too was just one of us. He just had on NHL Network and just was watching it and heard then that it's just, I don't know, like hockey trades to me are, I don't know, just crazy sometimes. It's just such a quick turnaround too. They're like, yeah, you're gone. Pack up your stuff. You're playing in like
I couldn't imagine that. Like, imagine like go to a whole different like state, city, and then like fan base. Like, you got to find a house. Like, that's a lot.
Especially long term, like, because Carlo has only ever been a Bruin.
Yeah.
And like obviously Marshy too. And Trent, like that's all they know. They're going on over 5 years. I mean, Marshy is way more, obviously. Maybe Carlo is even at 10. I don't even know, but it's like, how do you, especially ones with a young family, how do you stop like that?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And it's like Freddie, he's going to a whole different like country. Like, I couldn't imagine like that. He's like all the way like on the other side. So it's just, it's a lot for sure.
And then you got to like adjust to like the time difference. Like, you're not on the same time as like your family and friends. Like, that's got to be a whole new adjustment of like when, like, not when can you talk to them, because obviously all the time, but it's like different though, because you know, you go from just being like on the same time as them more or less, and then being like, wow, now, you know, my early evening, they're like asleep. Like, so I don't know. I couldn't do it. I couldn't
either.
And they always say it's a business, like, you know, all that. But it was definitely a crazy deadline. I knew we were going to sell, but it was more than I thought, for sure.
Me too. And I'm like you said, I'm like okay with everything. It just was like, I feel like a lot, like at once.
Yeah.
And like with Carlo, as you were kind of saying, I feel like I was fine with him leaving, but it's like you like did lose a lot of just like good vets who, you know, had like a big voice in the locker room as well.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It'll be very interesting to see what, because at this point I'm just looking forward to, you know, next season and what else they do in the off season, because they still have quite a few UFAs, or I'm sorry, RFAs. Yeah, I'm always like having to do the thing in my head, but like we have Geeky that they have to, you know, not deal with. That sounds like, oh man, Chuck, what are we gonna do with him? But like they got to figure out what they want to do with him. Got to figure out what you want to do with Lowry. And then who else is there? Are Parker and Beecher, are they restricted or are they unrestricted?
I don't know. I can look it up, but
I'm like, I should know
I'm
that.
so bad with that stuff. Like the UFA and RFAs, I'm so bad with.
Because I never knew Geeky was even, I didn't know he was restricted. I thought he was just like a UFA, and then I was like, oh, no, he's restricted.
Would you get rid of Johnny Beecher, though? Like, if we could?
Yes and no. No, because I feel like he's been given, you know, not a great set of hands either with like line mates and, you know, consistency and all that. But I would say yes for his benefit, because I'd like to see how he could do with a change of scenery also. Like, so I wouldn't, I don't really care either way, which sounds mean, but it's just like I am not too strong on either.
No, I agree with that. So it says he's not a UFA.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, and I think sometimes, because I even was confused with it for a while, like the difference between UFA and RFA and everything, because I know everyone online is like, we gotta secure Geeky, like da da da. I'm like, he's basically still ours, guys.
Yeah.
You know, it's gonna be a lot for it to go downhill, basically. Like, and yeah, I don't think they'll go to arbitration or anything, but it's just, I don't see him leaving, like Geeky personally. I just think it's a no-brainer that they keep him, and they're simply just waiting until June or, late June. Maybe they do it July 1st or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I just hope I want to keep him.
Yeah.
But I guess like Beecher is a RFA, so next season he'll be an RFA. Okay, so now that makes sense.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm so bad with that stuff. I
always have to like relook up. Like I'm always Googling. I'm like, okay, I should know it, but
like no, same though. It's like I should know this, but I have no idea. But
who? Okay, so here I'll bring up since we're talking about who we might lose, not might lose, but like who we could lose and whatever. I'll bring up our new additions that we got last.
Yeah.
Zadorov and Lindholm. Lindholm, we're stuck with. That's kind of upsetting because no one is going to take him from us. Why would they? And now we're just stuck with him.
Yeah, I mean, I have like mixed feelings with him because it's like we did get a glimpse of some positive, but then it's just like not consistent. And then you also have to think like, is it just the whole team, just kind of like the season? Yeah. I don't know though. With him, it's like I just have no idea.
If I'm him, I'm probably going, thank God this season was so bad because I can really get it into gear for next year or something like that. He gets like a pass or something, but Zadorov is one though where I didn't realize he was a plus 14 or is. He is a plus 14. I was like, whoa. I thought he was going to be well in the negatives, to be honest.
Same.
But I don't know. So with Zadorov too, I'll bring up obviously Zadorov would not want me to bring up this comment because he was like, oh, you blew it out of proportion, like da-da-da. But I mean, that's what the internet does. Like everyone was going to take, who even asked it? Like Fluto or something. And everyone was like, oh, yada, 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 like whatever. I mean, it's their job, like to ask stuff like that. And then obviously the internet is the internet. So it's going to blow it up.
Yeah.
But I think I'm at a point where everything in this season is making me laugh regardless. But also I kind of was like, okay, like I didn't hate his comment.
No, I didn't either. I was fine with it. I mean, didn't they lose like 7-2?
Yeah.
Like, of course he's not going to be like smiling and like so happy. That's the thing.
And I wish I could remember like the score when Sway tried to fight, but it's like, it's different. Obviously, like, how do I want to word this? I just think goalie fights are awesome. Yes, they're great when they do happen.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't happen a lot for like a certain reason. Like, you know what I mean? I think you have to just stay in your certain like goalie mindset. And if you want to do like the extracurriculars, and I think it's something we've seen with Sway before too, which I've spoken about this a little bit before, but sometimes I've gotten frustrated with Sway because I'm like, you're simply looking for a fight and you just want to push these people around. Just stay in your crease and let your players deal with it for you. Like, you don't have to be doing this because you are a goalie. Like, you just need to stay in your little area. Obviously, there's certain examples like where it's like blatant disrespect. Like, obviously, like go get them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in that scenario, I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna try and say his name.
I know.
What are we supposed to? His nickname's supposed to be like Hoozy or
Koozie. I'm probably so off. I don't know.
I'm definitely off, but people probably know who we're talking about.
But no one can pronounce.
Right. So it's like, he's a grown enough man. He got into a little scuffle with their goalie. Like, it doesn't mean you have to come and fight the goalie. Like, I just think it was not even really like necessary in that moment, in that specific game. So But naturally, like we've been saying, everyone blows everything out of proportion, because then there's the people that are so anti-sway that they're trying to make it something that it's so obviously not.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the people that were like digging on Zadorov and like saying, oh, well, maybe, you know, like bringing up his penalty minutes and all that, which obviously we know that he takes some of the dumbest penalties ever. But he is a successful fighter at times as well. Not every time, because, you know, who's going to win every fight every single time?
Exactly. But that's like also his role. Like, it's like Weeding brings Zadorov on thinking he's going to like score like David Pasternak, you know?
Right.
So it's super different.
So I don't know. I kind of just, I woke up to all that like discourse, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, we can't have anything just go like subtle. Like,
no, it's never just like,
it's never simple with us. Yeah. And I think, I don't know, if someone were to take a poll, we would have to be high up at the list of like the laughing stock of the NHL this year.
For sure. We're probably at the top. Like,
we are.
Like, our captain's gone. Like, we're just having such a bad season. Like, we're definitely like up there.
We just, you know, and hopefully it can only go up from here. I really don't see how much lower we could go.
I don't want to jinx it. No.
I couldn't handle it.
No.
If we get worse next year somehow,
I can't do it.
I have to take like a little time out and like, I say that as if I wouldn't be watching every game. That's the thing too that kills me. There's like this camp of people where we're gonna watch every game, but we're still just gonna complain about it anyways.
Well, that's the thing. And it's like, there's like a side where it's people who stopped watching because Martian got traded and we're just doing awful. And then there's the side like me and you are on where it's like we complain, but we're still sitting down watching every single game. We'll be dramatic, but we're gonna still watch it.
Right. And it's, you know, I wouldn't really have it any other way. I'm okay with that. I'm all right with just taking it in and complaining as time goes on. But what else do we want to? Here's another funny thing is I think we're gonna get absolutely like demolished by Anaheim tonight, because that's just about how our season is going. I'll be curious. Do we know who's in net? Speaking of like goalie and all that stuff.
So, I mean,
I don't know if they said it or not today.
But I'm like torn with these Anaheim Bruins games because Anaheim's my second favorite team. So honestly, I hope both teams just don't disappoint me. Because
that's so fair though. That's the best kind of game sometimes because.
True. Oh, so Corby's projected to be in net.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah. So that should be good. I do think it would be so funny if Trevor Zegras like got feisty in the game tonight, because when was it? So you would probably know though. When did he get into that random fight, Trevor Zegras?
Yeah, I think it was against Edmonton like a couple months ago. I was shocked. I was watching that game and I'm like double checking. I'm like, he's 11. Like, he's getting into a fight. I'm like, what? I was so confused. But
I never thought we would see today.
Me either. I mean, I was shocked. But also, this is kind of good. The Ducks are starting Gibson, and if it was Dostal, I'd be like, okay, we're done. Yeah, Dostal's just sick. But so that's good, I guess. But who knows?
If we feel like showing up,
depends who shows up tonight. So.
I'm gonna check. I think this is our last like 10 p.m. of the year, right?
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah, this is our last wicked late game because we play at 8 on Saturday, but 8 o'clock is like we even 8 o'clock sometimes here, so it's nothing too crazy. But who said it? I forget who tweeted it, and it was like, can we forfeit like the road trip or something like that, or maybe even they were just like, can we forfeit the whole season? And I was like, yeah, that actually sounds even better. Like, we didn't play this year, actually.
Yeah, no, you didn't see that. That wasn't us. But yeah, no, I agree because it's like I was watching. It was like one of the really late games. It was like 12 o'clock a.m. and I'm just like, why am I up watching this? Like, why am I doing this?
Especially because the losses have been so large too. It's not. It's close.
I'm just forcing myself to sit here and watch this. But
yeah, we're like brewing another cup of coffee. We're like, you don't even need to be drinking this. Just go.
Just go to bed. This is
fine. What else? I feel like there's really just, I don't know. There's just, we got to keep looking for that light at the end of the tunnel. Like, just hope that this gets better. And I don't know. There's really not even any purpose of us winning any more games. So I think that's almost what they think too. They're like, you know, I think between Pasta and Geeky, they're just bound to score anyways, just because it's like who they are.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Like Judd and Brick were talking a couple games ago, and they were like, "Oh, like we're only like X amount of points from a playoff spot." I'm like, "We don't want to make the playoffs right now." I'm like, "No, like you guys, like, are you guys watching this? Like, we don't want to make the playoffs,
right? Like, why do we want that? That'd be more painful, arguably, if we did make it.
Oh, that would be awful. That would just because then like Toronto, if we faced them in the first round, they would most likely win, and then we would never hear the end of that.
No,
it would be going on for years,
and it would be like, okay, you caught us in a fluke year, okay?
Yeah, it's like congrats.
You won your Stanley Cup. You beat us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely. It is very close though in the. I always want to say Atlantic, but I know that the Atlantic is overall I am right. Atlantic. It's very close. Like there's so many teams that had the same like amount of points for so long, but that's where like the games get you. Like we're so ahead of, not so ahead, but I think we're like a solid 2-3 games ahead of the other teams in our like division, which doesn't help like anyways.
No. I just don't want the Habs to make it in, but I feel like they might.
I was talking to my mom about that, and we were like, wait, they're like kind of good now again. Like what? Yeah. Why?
Well, I kind of don't like it. I'm like, oh.
I liked when they were bad.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, I don't like this like reverse here. I'm like, I like this is not a fan of this. And plus, like the Habs have so many young guys coming up too. Just like, oh, this is not good.
That's the only good thing about them is that maybe Dawn can kind of learn from them and be like, oh, young guys are good. Like, not be allergic to young people. Exactly. Like, you know, because that's where we like fail. I think we have a young-ish. I think they said, I forget where I saw that, like an actual number, and it was like we're the second or third like youngest roster now or something, which I never thought I'd see the day.
Yeah, never thought that.
No, but I don't know. I don't know where this team is going.
I honestly, like, I don't either. I just, every single night when, like, there's a game on, I'm just like, I don't know who's showing up. I don't know if it's going to be, like, the Bruins. We saw those 2 games after the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Just, like, the normal, what we've been seeing all season. It's just unpredictable.
Which I would have loved. Like, how awesome would it have been if those 2 games were like the new us and like we snuck our way into the playoffs, but it was like a whole different feeling. Like if we were like just an underdog, like I was hoping for that. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
no, me too. Like they gave me like a little bit of hope too, and I'm like I should have known.
Yeah,
but I had like a little bit of hope after those.
Yeah, and then it just got downhill again.
Yeah.
How were you? Were you excited to get Lauko back? I was.
Yes.
Yeah.
I liked that. I saw some people like not a fan of it, but I'm like, okay, like I feel like these days also with like just like Bruins Twitter and everything, like somebody's always complaining.
Yeah.
It's like never good enough.
Yeah. That is so true. Like there's nothing anyone can ever be in like full like agreement on.
Yeah. It's
Except for that we hate the Florida. Well, I was going to say except for that we hate the Florida Panthers, but now I feel like some people don't because now some people are like hopping over because of Marshy.
See, I don't know if I could like 100%. I don't think I could.
I couldn't like. Yeah, there's just some teams that, you know, when Carlo got traded to Toronto, I was like, ooh, how am I gonna like be a fan of him still? You know,
I'm like, okay, I don't think I can do it.
Yeah, I just there's some teams that are just like off limits. Like even like when Trent went to the Oilers, I was like, okay, like that's manageable. Like I can.
Yeah.
There's been no beef in my lifetime that needs to be like prevalent or something. But
yeah,
like Coyle going to Colorado, I was like, fine,
that's fine. I can root for that.
But Florida really sent me. for a loop. But
yeah. And all the fans, like they're all like excited now and they're all loving him. I'm like, okay, like
I really hope he does make his debut on Friday because I just want to know what that even looks like. And here's what gets me. I'm like, I didn't think this was allowed, but did Bennett like get into his ear at Four Nations or like what happened there?
Like Canada won Four Nations, and I feel like maybe he's just like, you know what, like just keep the train going. And now he wants a cup with them. But when I see him like officially like in the lineup on the ice with the Panthers jersey, I'm not gonna know how to react, to be honest with you. I'm just gonna be like, this is just weird. I don't like it.
Like especially just seeing him like hit someone or score in that jersey is gonna be so weird.
Yeah, even like just seeing like a Panthers jersey with his last name on it, I'm like, what? No, like
they made them quick too. I remember seeing online, and I was like, "It's already in their team store." Like,
it was a little too quick. I was like, okay,
this was calculated.
Yeah, I'm like, this is a little too quick here.
How did we do this?
Yeah,
it's just we are truly entering. Who said it? I think Biz tweeted it and was like, "The end of an era, truly for the Bruins." And I was like, okay. Whatever. What is his first name? Paul.
Paul. Yeah.
Hey, Paul.
Okay, Paul.
Come on.
You're a Toronto fan, but like, and also like with the Bruins as well. I feel like the thing is that I could be delusional, but it's like I don't think we're the type of team to be like horrible for like continuous seasons. I feel like we're gonna find a way.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. It's a quick hurdle that we can get over, I think.
Yeah.
Get our ducks back in a row.
It's not like we have no talent, so it's like we're just gotta fit some pieces and then we'll be good.
Yeah. Move some things around and just it's definitely, we still do have the generational talent of like Sway, McAvoy, Geeky even, Pasta. I mean, who else you kind of have to pair in Lindholm and Zadorov in that grouping now just because of the years on their contract. That's another thing that gets me, though, is I forget, I saw someone else say this too, so this is not like my original thought, but we either sign people for so long or so short. And it's usually like the people I want for a long time get the short deals, and then the people that I want for a short time get the long ones.
No, it's so true, though. It's like,
And I'm like, where did we do that? Like, where did we get the years? Did we pick it out of a hat? Or like...
What's John Sweeney feeling today? Like,
no, literally. It's like a game of like, I don't even know. It's like a random game.
True.
What's that thing where you can do the little Oh my gosh, you could make them out of paper and it was like pick a number, like 1 through whatever.
Origami?
Yeah, it's like an origami and people made it into like a game and
Yeah.
he just did that. He like
Yeah,
wrote the numbers.
Yeah. He's just over here going, wait, hold on.
Yeah. He's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So Neil's gonna be
That's literally what it is though.
I think so, because he has no logic behind his decisions most of the time. I like saying that, even though I was like, yeah, I agree with all the trades. Like, it was a really good idea. And now I'm still, like, trashing on him. But
no, that's the thing, though. It's like I agree with some of the stuff, and he's done good things. It just, for some reason, I just can't find a way to, like, fully back him.
No, it's almost like there's just too much that he's done. And I think maybe he even knows that, and it's just like too, like, he almost just had to finish wrecking everything.
Mm-hmm.
It was too hard to backtrack and fix it. So he's like, well, I guess we just have to move on and build over. But I will be curious this offseason, the coaching situation, like where. And I'll ask you this too. Back to goalies. I am curious if there were some talks how supposedly they had been maybe looking at moving Corpy at the deadline. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't have him back next year, but I'm also curious to see what we do with that. Like, will we try and get, because I just don't know. I think Sway would still benefit from having a number 1 goalie and him being number 2, where I know it's so unlikely to have another tandem like him and Linus where they can go back to back to back. Like, it's just not what we usually see anyways. One team will have their goalie and then their backup. But I think the team and Sway himself really benefited from that type of tandem, that I'd love to see them get back to that somehow, which I know is a shot in the dark, but I will just be curious to see. Do you think we're going to keep Corpy, or do you think they're going to try and move on? Or
I feel like I can see them moving on from him, but I feel like we should keep him.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I feel like he's first of all not as bad as I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, when we got him, I didn't think he was horrible, but I just didn't have really high expectations.
Sure.
But I feel like you were kind of saying, like, it would be good for Sway maybe just to kind of continue, just because I don't think Sway's a starting goalie right now. I don't think he's ready to do like so many games in a row. That's the thing.
He's still young, like he's still, yeah. I do like Corpy in the sense of, I think he's kind of like Craich, where he's secretly funny. So I think only the guys get to really see how funny he is and like hear his jokes and all that. But I just like, there's like a swagger to him a little bit. Like when he punted the puck the other day, I was like, oh, that was like a riot.
That was so funny.
I really like, and I just think, I don't know. I think he would be good to hold on to, but I don't know what they'll do with him. But I agree though that I wouldn't hate keeping him. I mean, and what are we paying him, like $3 million or something, which I know is still like a lot, but we also cleared up a lot of cap space, so we have that now to
True.
Put around.
What?
We have that like cap space to kind of put around a little bit more, I guess.
No, yeah, that's true. But also, it's like, even if we do get rid of him, I mean, I know DiPietro is good, but like, who would we bring up?
Right. Like, they would have to, like, would they commit to him, or would they commit to Bussy, like, coming up? Like, I don't think they're ready for that either. So then we'd be not stuck with, again, I keep saying that, and I don't mean that in, like, a bad way, but we'd have, like, one of them and then Sway. And that would be like, oh, boy, Yeah, I wouldn't love that, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think, like, right now, like, I could be wrong, but I feel like the goalies are kind of not the main issue right now. It's like his Sway, it's like, yeah, he's kind of like a little rocky, but I also kind of feel like he has the ability to be way better than he is. And it's kind of like this season just kind of tough on everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't feel like judging his capabilities just from this season.
Yeah, exactly. That's so true. And, I think he'll also have a full training camp with all the guys this year,
Mhm.
which will obviously I feel just make a difference.
Yeah.
For anyone, like coach or player, there's just a different, not bond, but just a different mindset in training camp. So obviously it's, if you're all in the same place, hour on end, day after day to start the season, it's like going to be something different. So I do think that'll be good, that everyone will start, at camp and really get going from there.
And the players were all saying oh, it didn't affect them at all, when it's like Sway was kind of still in those negotiations or whatever. But I do feel like it does affect you to a point.
Yeah.
I just feel like they kind of had to say, no, it doesn't affect us. It's all fine.
But they're human. You know, it's obviously gonna, like you said, affect them.
Mm-hmm.
This is more of a Jess question, because I'm not too good with
no. No. I had a feeling something. Yeah, I've had a feeling he was going to say something like that.
I had to. No. I was like, I have to bring this up.
Quinnipiac's going to get out in the first round. Just saying.
Anything else you want to bring up?
That's about it.
Yeah.
Anything else?
So puck drop in about 2 hours. We'll see how it goes. We'll be up, folks, if you want to.
We'll be watching.
So hit us up if you want to chat. We'll be up until about 12:30 or something.
Yep. Another late night.
Yeah. Thankfully, our last one for this horrible road trip. Yeah. But so I'm trying to think. I think that's it. Yeah. So I just want to say thanks again for coming on. I was very excited to have you on, because I was like, you know what, this will just be like a good, fun episode. So thank you for coming on. And
thank you.
Thanks for sharing all your thoughts and opinions, and dealing with my thoughts and opinions and everything. Do you want to plug your podcast and your accounts and everything again?
Yeah, you guys can find me at Overtime Chicks on Instagram and Twitter, and I post podcasts every single Tuesday. So thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thank you. And again, you can find my podcast, Causeway Chirps, on Twitter, Chirping on Causeway on Instagram. And this podcast, as always, is brought to you by Boston Sports Entertainment Network. You can find them at BSCN_617 on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and we do have a lot of cool merch, so you could hop over to their website, and we have stuff not only for the Bruins, but Patriots, Celtics, and Red Sox as well. So make sure to go follow them and get some cool merch, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.
What happens after a Boston Bruin win as Jeremy Swayman and Lena Zolmark have their trademark celebration.